The next exfiltration vector that we wanted to talk about is email exfiltration. And let's I would love to set the context and talk about the key architectural difference and how uh, what Nightfall does is different from how you may have set up email or DLP today. So, in speaking with a lot of you, what we've understood is there's a legacy multi-stage approach in how outgoing emails are scanned and secured in your environments, right? You could be using Exchange Online, you could be using Gmail. There are instances where you're relying on, let's say, as an example, Microsoft Purview to scan your outgoing emails. Microsoft Purview adds a header anytime that email is scanned, and then that email is routed via a gateway. Typically, it could be Proofpoint, Mimecast, or some similar vendors. And then that gateway is enforcing that remediation action of whether it needs to be blocked, quarantined, and so forth. Um, there's a big downside associated with this approach. With every hop, there are delays. It's just a very cumbersome and complex deployment model. There could also be, of course, the detection accuracy is also extremely poor with the kind of keywords and patterns that you need to create, even in a platform like Purview. As opposed to that model, in the case of Nightfall, you have a unified approach. You do not need to rely on a different tool for detection, and you do not need to rely on some other third-party gateway-based product for enforcement. You could combine both detection at accuracy and at the scale of a cloud-first platform that is built for the AI and SaaS native era, as well as enforce the remediation actions. It could be automated blocking, automated encryption based on the full context of that outgoing email. You could just set it up in a monitoring only policy, so that all of that is completely up to you. And we do that not just on Gmail, but we also have the ability to do that on Exchange Online. There are millions of emails that we scan on a monthly basis and are helping several customers secure those emails on a daily basis. Um, to touch upon the key differentiators with those two approaches, or you could even be relying on plain and simple like native Gmail DLP or using Purview for Exchange Online. But regardless of that path, these differentiators stand. So in terms of detection accuracy, you're just going to see a night and day difference with the accuracy and the fidelity of the alerts. It's going to be you're going to get more signal with Nightfall. The deployment is pretty straightforward. It's an inline connector-based deployment. It could be the SMTP relay in Workspace. The remediations are happening in real time. So in most cases, you're seeing emails getting blocked in a matter of seconds. From a SecOps experience standpoint, it's not a disjointed, disparate experience where you're having to manage and go to a gateway console and manage the deployment there. You're also having to learn, there's a big learning curve with Purview and manage it separately. Um, Over and above that, continuing on the detection accuracy differentiator, OCR scanning in most cases that just doesn't exist in some of these legacy tools, or it's an extra cost as we've learned in the case of Purview. Whereas with Nightfall, it's all natively baked in. We use computer vision models to tokenize and pull the text out of these images, or these images embedded within PDF documents, scan that, and then instantaneously help you remediate that. Lastly, quickly touching upon the policy changes. So, be it the endpoint product, be it our API-based SaaS apps, we support a dozen plus SaaS apps today. All the policy changes are getting synced in real time, right? Depending on the scale of your organization, you might see delays of several hours to several days. In case of apps like Purview, for the policies to actually get synced and get enforced on those, and all of this leads to a pretty high total cost of ownership and a burden, a SecOps burden for you. With that, I'm going to transition to a demo and I'm going to showcase what email exfiltration looks like
Anant,
with.
before you jump into the demo, we have a question from iTech. Historically, this would not cover Outlook client and only detect OWA. Is this now covering to detect emails being sent from Outlook desktop app?
A couple of questions. Love that question. So, with our inline email scanning product, irrespective of whether you use Outlook, you use the mobile app on iPhone or Android, or the Outlook mobile app, or you're using Outlook Web Access, all outgoing emails will be scanned and you could enforce blocking or any other remediation capabilities. But to the specific question from ITAC, desktop clients is something that we are adding support for in the context of exfiltration, and it's going to land within a month from now. So, yes, the scenario that you described where I could upload an attachment to Microsoft Outlook, the client, the desktop client on Mac or Windows, and then try and send that email. If it is originating from a high value source app and you want to prevent that from happening, that capability is coming up shortly and will be supported pretty soon. Um, Awesome. And to just make it even more explicit, a lot of the traditional endpoint DLP and IRM tools, a vast majority of them do not even have the inline scanning approach, right? So they are going to be relying just on the endpoint and the browser plugin or the Outlook add-in to perhaps scan that email, but it's going to be super flaky. We are happy for you to for prospects or for folks who are evaluating the platform, we're happy for you to try those scenarios out and see how we have a comprehensive approach for Exchange Online or Gmail, both from a sensitive data exposure and an exfiltration standpoint. Let me quickly go ahead and let's cover a couple of scenarios here. So uh, I'm going to paste some PHI content in my email that I'm going to send via Gmail here. So let's go ahead and send this email. So I picked up sample PHI data from our playground. And then let's also do that via Exchange Online. And let's pick a um, debugging scenario. Of course, these are contrived scenarios, but it could be a it could be a confidential document. It could be uh, financial statement or any of the 22 other categories that Brian talked about. So I've sent a couple of emails from both Gmail and Exchange Online, and these are going to be blocked. You are going to be seeing both the end user side of the experience and the SecOps experience. In addition to this capability, we also have a self encryption capability with Gmail. So um, what that does is there's a plugin and you could collaborate with external partners. So this plugin and the self encryption experience is completely embedded within the Gmail Compose window. So anything that you enter here will be encrypted, and the recipients will be receiving that in encrypted form. The only way to access that, Wesley had a question at the top of our call. The only way to access this encrypted email is going to be via the secure reader. So you could easily log in with a one-time login code and get access to that encrypted. It could be an attachment, it could be the content. So that's how it works. And the end users have some additional controls of when the email should expire, whether the attachments should be encrypted or not, and so forth. So that's yet another powerful capability. And let's go to the email experience. So as you can see, the email that I'd sent about a minute back, it was blocked. Um from a SecOps standpoint, you get a preview of that content, the source and destination, or rather the recipients and the sender information, which policy it violated, and the activity log that it was blocked. Right, you could go navigate this and see all the content. It also had some patient information. So all of those detectors are violated. And the same experience, same consistent experience is true of Exchange Online as well. So while that goes through, while I pull that up, Brian, any questions on the chat that I could take?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
So keep your
Yeah,
questions
so
coming.
yeah, thanks, Brian. So this is the experience. Like you could of course customize this, but there are templates that the senders receive the moment that email is blocked, and you could attach your security policy or acceptable use context anytime this happens, and then you are also setting up email alerts to the end users. So that email alert or the Slack alert or the Teams alert has the context of hey, why did my email get quarantined or why did it get blocked, and they see that full context in the alert itself. So this is the latest one for the latest email that I'd sent. And yeah, this is an example of the Exchange Online block with all the other metadata here. um, I'll quickly touch upon the policy. So, yeah, this is the new alert that came through for the email that I just sent a minute back. I got this block notification, and you'll see a new event come through. But in terms of the policies, just quickly touching upon the email exfiltration policies. So, you have the ability to scope these by senders, by recipient domains. So if there are certain domains, contoso.com, where your emails that are originating from your corporate domain should not even land in those external domains, then you could set up those policies absolutely. And it's the exact same experience where we are pulling the user information from the directory services. And then these are the three inline automated actions. Block takes precedence. If you have enabled a couple, like more than one action, then the email will always be blocked. But if you want to quarantine it, the experience slightly varies. Like you could go and release the email from the Gmail quarantine box, and you could do that via the Exchange Online Admin Center as well, to release and subsequently deliver that to the end recipients.